Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily news updates with Rita Kamkumo. Our headlines today: several people protesting against police brutality have reportedly been shot dead as security forces opened fire in Lagos, Nigeria. The ruling party in Ivory Coast vows a safe presidential election next week despite recent deadly clashes. Burundi's former leader Pierre Buyoya is sentenced to life in prison in absentia over the murder of his successor Melchior Ndadaye. Our top story today: several people taking part in the protests that started 2 weeks ago against police brutality in Nigeria were reportedly shot dead on Tuesday in the city of Lagos. According to witnesses, up to 12 people were killed and others wounded when security forces opened fire. Amnesty International said it had credible reports of the alleged deaths, and its spokesman Issa Sanusi added that they are working on verifying how many. However, the army has dismissed the reports as fake news. The alleged killings reportedly took place shortly after the authorities imposed an indefinite 24-hour curfew in Lagos and other regions after protests spiraled dramatically, with violence being reported in several cities. Young Nigerian protesters on Tuesday blocked access to the key roads in the economic capital, demanding change.
No cure is going through. Since we have been protesting, we have not heard any reasonable result. So we want out Buhari to come and address us. If not possible in Aso Rock, he should come down to Lagos and address the citizens.
That's what we can do. We have been crying every day so that they can hear our voice, but they don't want to listen to us. But I believe this war we are doing, we are going to hear good things in our country now.
We don't want President Buhari anymore. We don't want Bola Ahmed Tinubu in our country anymore. Let them go. We want to enjoy our country. This is time for the youth. Youth Nigeria.
Nigeria got independence in 1960, right? October 1st, 1960. Since then, no, Nigeria is 60 years now. We don't achieve anything. We don't benefit anything. We have so many graduates. Like this is my colleague now. Yeah. He's a graduate, no job, nothing. Salary. We don't have lights. We have fuel, but we can't see the fuel. We have fuel, Nigeria have fuel, but we cannot see the fuel. Can you see the fuel? No.
Meanwhile, in the city of Kano, hundreds of protesters reportedly burned vehicles and looted businesses on Tuesday as protests against police brutality degenerated into violence.
We had just started work when we heard people shouting, running in all directions. Before we knew what was happening, a mob started burning tricycles and looting shops. They then moved towards this direction. They stopped a woman who had picked her children from school and wanted to burn her car. We helped the woman escape. That car burning, the woman who owns it was inside when the mob set it on fire. It took some effort to help her get out. They broke into Chicken Republic restaurant and took their meals.
In the capital city, Abuja, the police patrolled the streets after violent clashes occurred on Tuesday.
Since yesterday, we have unrest. Everywhere has been damaged. At least you have seen it. Everywhere has been damaged. All the shop, even one of the man there, his shop was almost cost of millions. But they set it on fire. The whole thing was burned. He was not able to pick out a pin out of it.
Over 1,000 protesters had gathered on Tuesday in defiance of the curfew. The Nigerian authorities stated that the youth-led protests had been hijacked by criminals. On the political front, in Ivory Coast, the authorities said on Tuesday that all arrangements will be made to ensure the security of the presidential election scheduled for the 31st of October, despite recent deadly intercommunal clashes that rocked the country.
You have certainly noted that violence is localized in certain localities, most of them close to certain opinion leaders, Daukro, Bonua in the case of Mrs. Simon Bagbo. Violence, it must be noted, orchestrated and manipulated by these different political leaders of the opposition. All arrangements will be made to ensure the security of the voting exercise at the appropriate time. We have an appropriate mechanism to address these different types of community violence, and those at the grassroots level will face justice as the perpetrators.
Two leading presidential candidates last week called for the boycott of the looming presidential election, in which incumbent Alassane Ouattara is seeking a highly controversial third term. In neighboring Guinea, the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States said on Tuesday that the weekend election was conducted properly after the opposition denounced irregularities and declared itself the winner before the release of official results by the Electoral Commission.
The presidential election of October 18, 2020 in the Republic of Guinea took place in a tense electoral political context, giving rise to legitimate fears of serious violence. However, the mission was pleased to note that despite such a risk, the elections were held in a transparent, secure, calm and peaceful environment, once again demonstrating the maturity of the Guinean people and political actors. Recommendations to political parties and political actors: preserve the current climate of peace in a spirit of conciliation, avoiding inflammatory speeches and acts of defiance. Demonstrate the democratic and republican spirit by respecting the official results proclaimed by the competent authorities and using legal channels in case of any challenge.
Guinea's Electoral Commission is yet to announce the official results of Sunday's election. In Eastern Africa, Burundi's former president Pierre Buyoya has been sentenced to life in prison in absentia over his alleged role in the assassination of his successor Melchior Ndadaye in 1993. A court on Monday convicted Buyoya for an attack against Burundi's first democratically elected president during a coup d'etat which plunged the country into civil war. 18 high-ranking military officials and civilians who were close to Buyoya received the same sentence. Buyoya, who is the current African Union's representative in Mali, said in a statement that he rejects the life sentence and dismissed the case as politically motivated. In Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta called for a constitutional consensus on Tuesday to foster a more inclusive electoral system.
And the national question goes back to the advent of our multi-party system. For indeed, it was after the reintroduction of political pluralism in 1992 that negative politics began to dominate our national arena. And how do we ensure we fulfill our democratic credentials without tearing apart the diversity of our nation? The question of us versus them must come to an end, fellow Kenyans. Yes, the 2010 Constitution gave us some remedies, but did it resolve or entrench the zero-sum game in which the winner takes all and the loser goes home with nothing?
Violent clashes have plagued voting in Kenya in the past few decades.
It would indeed, fellow Kenyans, be a tragedy if come subsequent elections we have not resolved this dilemma. And that is why I urge the country to ponder a constitutional consensus around a three-pronged national question. On the one part, the question is political inclusion. Instead of a zero-sum constitutional equation, can we adopt a positive-sum equation? Can we adopt a constitutional arrangement that can take care of our diversity as a people?
President Kenyatta's call for a constitutional consensus took place during a Kenyan holiday meant to celebrate the heroes of the nation, and just a few days ahead of a much anticipated report on suggested reforms. On the economic front, in Sudan, the interim government hailed on Tuesday the United States' plans to remove the country from its state sponsors of terrorism blacklist, saying that the move will facilitate debt relief and pave the way to economic recovery.
The Sudanese economy will not have a fundamental change tomorrow morning, which means that we will not wake up in the morning having made the Sudanese economy one of the first economies. Instead, we open the doors wide open. Gains will be achieved after we complete our duties, and we have great duties. There are immediate benefits, as Omar mentioned, which are the moral and psychological aspects for us all. To not be a part of a list of procedures that we did not provoke to happen. Then the second benefits are financial transactions and diplomatic relationships.
Sudan's removal from the United States sponsors of terrorism list followed a compensation deal over past terror attacks. On the football scene, Kenya's Football Federation announced on Tuesday that coach Francis Kimanzi and 2 members of his staff resigned on Tuesday, just weeks before the resumption of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. According to the Football Federation, Kimanzi left by mutual consent after a year and 2 months with the national team. Kimanzi, however, told the Goal on Tuesday that he was fired and that he was not given a reason for his sacking by the Federation. The departure of the former Harambee Stars coach comes 3 weeks before Kenya is due to host Comoros in a Group G qualifier in Nairobi. The 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers are set to resume on the 9th of November. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.